think I've got it, right? Okay, so the purpose of this video is to kind of go over a guide that I just wrote. So I'm going to pull up the little guide here that I have, right? I'm going to read through it real quick and then we'll go through and follow the process. So basically, it's going to be how to create a reference asset in UE5. Because when you're modding, and you know what, I'll just read their overview. So, but what you need first is you need to make sure you got a fully set up and working custom UE engine and project, right? Make sure it's updated. There was a patch that recently came through that messed up a couple things, so you're going to want to make sure you have an updated project as well. Fmodel, you want to make sure that's set up and working. FBX formatted mesh properly rigged for a Tekken 8 armature with the material slots assigned to it. I'll go over that as well. And then of course you want Tekken 8 so you can test your mod, right? So the overview. So when we mod, we're basically redirecting the game to go find and load some assets, right? These assets could be in the game already or new ones that we bring into the game. But in most cases, we are doing a lot of referencing and telling the game where to go find stuff to load stuff, right? When we want to reuse an asset from in-game, we typically try to just reference it, right? There's no point rebuilding it if it already exists. And if we're not going to want to make any changes to it, then why would we go through that process, right? It can be a bit of a headache, especially for a new modder, so this is a good way to just kind of just get by and use the tools and use the engine the way it's supposed to be used. And so referencing pretty much allows us to tell the game where to get and load an asset without having to recreate it ourselves. The game already uses references. We're going to get in there and we're going to maybe change those references or use them in the same form and fashion, right? So for example, we made some changes to a mesh in the game and we want to keep all of the same materials that are on the mesh originally. We just want to create a reference material now and load those to our mesh in UE. That way when the mod is read by the game, it sees the references and grabs the correct materials to load onto the mesh and it's done, right? We did our stuff to the mesh itself. We don't have to change any materials or anything like that. And when I say materials, I'm talking about material instances. I'm not going to go into a big thing about that, but basically materials we can't really use that well. But material instances are like variations, multiple variations of like a base material, right? But for now, I'm just going to call them materials or MIs, material instances. Alright, so another common example is when we want to swap items. Like we're going to do like the swapping item mods, right? I want to give Lily Asuka's top or something like that. Thus, we're going to swap and we're going to use references. And those use an IP, which is an item prefab asset. And inside that asset, it has 3 other assets that are set up for each item. So rather than fill those all out, because some parts like the CI can be kind of complicated if you haven't done it before. The BI isn't really complicated, but it's already set up. So rather than create those and set those up ourselves, we're going to create the reference to them, and then the game is just going to load the ones that they already made that's already fully set up the correct way, right? That way we don't have to do it. So say an item was colorable, we'll be able to keep it colorable in most cases. Sometimes there's a little variation and deviation to that when we move them from character to character, but if it's within the same character, usually there's no issues at all, but we'll see. So basically we're going to tell the game to look at a different reference than it originally was set, right? That's what that's going to do. So some of the important things to know, and when you're modding, and very important when you're doing your references, is that the name of the asset must match the original item name, right? If you deviate from it, the game won't know what it's looking for. It's not uncommon to find an asset with a name that is just not grammatically correct. So if it's not correct, it won't find it. Or if it's not correct, then it's still going to look for the incorrect named asset, right? And so if we name it correctly, it'll be like, I don't know where that is. Okay. The asset must be in the same place in your UE project as it is in game. I'll kind of show you an example of what I mean by that. But if you mess it up and you put the wrong name to a folder, or you put the folder in a different order or something like that, the game won't know where to look. It's going to follow the path that we give it, and there's not going to be a real path for it to follow. And then the last thing, which is very important, is that the actual reference asset, so any assets that we reference, we will never include those in our actual mod. There is never any reason to do that, because we are telling the game to go get the one that it already has, right? So if we put our version of that asset, which may not be fully completed the right way, the game is then going to go grab that. and that's not going to be what you want because you want the thing that's already done. So make sure your reference assets are never included in your mod. And if they are included, they can't be assigned to anything, right? You can't have them like on your mesh. And if they are included, actually just don't put them in your mod at all. This is probably the best bet. There may be a special circumstance in the future, but in the most part, don't do it. So let's go over creating the reference asset, right? We're going to use a material instance as the example. So I'm going to use Azazena, and I'll show you what I created, a little monstrosity. So I went in and I was like, you know what, she needs more cartoony figure, you know what I mean? And I figured like her bust size was just a little bit too big, but her butt size was a little bit too small. And then I was like, you know what? She's doing all this dancing and she got her arms up all the time. Maybe she needs some bigger shoulders. And for whatever reason, I was like, you know, let's give her some bigger forearms. You know what I mean? Because why not? But the actual stuff here, like her skin and like her bathing suit and stuff, that's all going to stay the same. I don't want to change any of that. Now, I'm not going to load, I haven't loaded any of these materials. But if I look at the mesh here, and I look at the materials section, and I extracted these from Blender and imported with the PSK importer. If I look at here, and I don't think I can zoom in, but basically these are the names of all the materials, right, that we're going to be using. I think if you use UModel, the materials aren't listed here, so you might have to go find the names of them and apply them. I don't know why people even still use Fmodel or use UModel. I would say always use Fmodel if you can, but to each their own. Either way, these are all loaded here, right? So I've exported it, and now I'm going to bring it into Unreal Engine. So I'm going to bring it in like this. And let's go to where I saved it. Here we go. And I'll bring her in. And I'm going to assume at this point that you already know how to import your model. That's not what this is for. This is for referencing stuff. So here we go. Here's our girl. So we're going to open it up. Now I already have some emulated materials in this project. Okay. And that's why they got loaded, right? So these are in the places where they actually belong. And like if you hover over it, you'll see that it's in game, character, items, shared, unique, body, some materials. I got bad eyes, but it's in the correct folder. But nothing loaded to the bathing suit because I do not have those already in my project. Now, if you don't have these in your project, that's fine. You can make them in the same way that I'm going to go ahead and make these for this, right? Cow mesh is another one that you're going to want to have built and as a reference in your system. It's what we use for like our invisible stuff and a bunch of different things. So here it is. So there's our body that we're going to put into the game. Now here is the material that's for it. Now I can hit highlight and you can see that it glows whichever area it applies to. I can do that for each of these sections. Like that's the feet. Hit highlight like that. I can also hit isolate, and now only that is being shown, right? No, only that. What is this? Her fingernails? Okay. Unclick it and we're good. But we're gonna want to get this material in here. So I kept the name. So in Blender, when you export it, it'll create a material slot, right? And give it a name based on whatever material you have set in Blender. So if it's named correctly in Blender, when you bring it over into Unreal Engine, it'll be named correctly there as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this name, but I need to figure out where it is. Like I know I don't have it because it didn't get loaded, and I didn't create it. I know I didn't. So I need to create this reference, but I need to know where I need to create this reference. So I'm going to open up Fmodel and try to find where this is at, right? And one of the fastest ways to do that is to go into Fmodel and then go into packages, search, and just type it in. Hit enter, and boom, there it is. So if I look at this here, I can see it's in Polaris, content, character, item, model, unique, cat, which is the abbreviation for her character name, full body with an underscore in between, and then the name of the asset, in this case is cat BDF SP01, then materials, and then there is that material that I want to reference. So I need to create this folder structure. Now it starts with Polaris, but we don't need to keep the Polaris part. We're just going to focus on content and below, right? So if I go up here, we see we have a content folder, and now I need to go to my character folder next. Boom. Then it's the item folder. Now some of these might already be made in your base project, but if they're not made, then you need to make them. I've got a lot of folders because I've done a lot of mods already, and I've had to make folders as I've gone along. But if you don't, then you may need to. Alright, so I'm going to go to item, and then we're going to go to model, right? I'm in model, unique, and I don't have one for cat, right? I don't have one for Azucena. So I'm going to make a new folder, cat, open that up, and if I forget, I'm just going to go back to Fmodel and look and see what I need. I'm like, okay, cat, now full body, new folder, full body. And I am pretty sure, I don't know for sure if you need to keep the letter case the same. I would suggest that you do to the best of your ability. So I'm going to keep it the same. If for some reason you do it capital, UE won't let you just rechange it, right? If it won't let me type full body in capitals, right? It says, hey, that already exists. So what I would have to do is rename it to something other than that, and then type in whatever I wanted, right? I don't know why it does that, but it does. So I need to go ahead and rename it so that I can rename it correctly. So full body, there we go. Nice. Open that up, and I think we've got some more folders in here, right? We got full body, and then cat BDF SP01. So let's see, new folder, cat BDF SP01, right? And then in this folder I have my materials folder, so MATERI. Okay, so now I need to create a material instance, and let's go back to the guide. So it says find the name of the material you want to reference and look for it in Fmodel. We just did that. Look at the file structure and make sure that your folder structure matches what is in Fmodel. And I gave an example. I don't think this is the actual name, but that's fine. And if not, then make the necessary folders like I just did. So in UE, we're now going to go to the folder where the material asset should be, and then we're right click on an open section of the content browser, and then we're going to go to the material section, and we're going to look for a material instance. So I'm going to right click on here, and now here's a material. I do not want that. I'm just going to go. Now I could use this for a reference because it's not going to go in my actual game, but just to keep things like in line, I'm going to go down here to material and then look for material instance, not function instance, not layer blend instance, but material instance. Click on that, and I want that name of my material. Right there we go. Can I zoom in a little bit? All right, so there's my material instance. If I open it up, there's nothing in here. There's nothing in here at all. This is not set up whatsoever, right? But I'm going to save it because I don't need it to be set up, because all I need is the information. So with that set up, I'm going to go back to the actual place where I imported my model, which I think is, let's see, here's my SK, and I can open it up, and now I want to load that material instance to my model, right? So I could do it a couple of ways. Since I named it the same as it is in the material slot, I can just paste it in here and grab it like that. I can go to where it is, and I can click on it and then hit this little arrow, and that will load it, right? If I clear it out, just to show you, I can hit this arrow and it will load whatever I have selected, as long as it's the right type of asset. Or I can just simply drag and drop it to where it needs to go. So whichever works for you. Right? And that's it. That's a reference. It doesn't look like anything in the engine right now, right? But if I hover over it, you'll see that it's got a reference to that material instance. And when I load it into the game is going to go along this path and find that asset in that material instance, and it's going to load that one that already exists. So I don't have to build it. I just don't get to see it in my editor right now. There's ways that we could make it so you can easily see it, but it's really not necessary. It's a lot of extra work. If we're gonna go in that route, I would moving more towards emulated materials and different things of that nature. But for now, we're just gonna do references. All right, cool. So we've created our reference for that material. Now, the SK that I'm going to replace, it's an MSL only. I mean, that's not a big deal, but I'm going to use a custom mesh. One of the benefits that we have when we're using like custom stuff is we don't have to necessarily put it in the place where it belongs, right? So I've got this in a folder called where is it at? Demo something. Demo reference mats, right? So I'm going to create my own little folder structure in here. So I'm going to create meshes, and I personally model my stuff after the game, but you can do as you see fit. But I'm going to drop this in here because I got a mesh in here, and then I create an items folder, and this is where I put the items, the assets that go into my item prefab asset, I guess. And there's 3 of them to go into it, right? There is a let's see, a base character item, BCI, and I'm gonna reference this one, right? I'm not gonna fill it out. I'm just gonna use the one in the game. So to do that, I'm going to go into Fmodel, and I need to find the one that's appropriate for this particular like material in this model. So if I go into Fmodel, I go to content, I want to kind of find where that would be. So if I go to character, I can go to item right here. I've got base character items, we've got base items, and then we've got customized items and item prefab. So I'm going to make the base character item for it. So I'm going to click on here, I'm going to go to cat, where you at, and then I can go to BDF, and I can look and see what the actual name is for it, right? And it's pretty straightforward, BCI cat BDF SPO1. And now I know where it's located, right? Another way that I can figure out what I want to put in my IP when I make my references is I can just go to the IP itself. So if I go to the IP, right, I can go down to cat, and I can go to BDF. I can find the SP01, which is right here. Let me move it over a little bit, and you can see that it's got the references. Basically, all this asset is a reference to 3 other assets. That's all the IP is. There it is. Boom. So I'm just gonna grab the name of this BCI, right? But I need to put it where it belongs. So game, character. So game is like content. So content, character, item, base character item, cat, BDF, and then put it in there. So let's see what I got here. So I've got base character item. I already have that folder. I think I already have a cat folder. I can just type it in. Nope, I do not have a cat folder yet, so I need to make one. So I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller. You can hold control and mouse up and down to make your folders bigger and smaller. But I'm going to right click, new folder, we'll write cat. We'll open that up. And now we're going to use BDF. And now I want to create that base character item right in there. Boom. There, nice. I'm going to do the exact same thing with the customized item. Alright, well, I can close that for now. But if I go in here and look at the customized, and if I can copy and paste it, I'm copying and paste it. I have a messed up eyeball, and so it's very easy for me to misname stuff. So I try to do as much cut and paste as possible. So go in here. Let's see, do I have one for a cat yet? I don't. So I'm going to go ahead and make Azu's folder, cat. And same setup for all of these. It's like BDF, it's the small form of the category name. and then I'm going to create a customized item. Now it's important that you're using the right item, and you'll see why in just a second, because if I use two base items, it's not going to work, right? I might name them whatever I want to, but they're not going to go into the IP, and so they won't actually work. So let me go ahead and do the customize item. Here we go. And I'm not going to fill it out, right? There's a bunch of stuff in here. I can make a bunch of different things, blah, blah, blah. A lot of different stuff to fill out in here if you were actually doing it. But we're not going to do any of that because we're lazy. Nah, we're just going to be efficient. And then the last thing is a base item. Now, in this example, if I was just swapping stuff, I would just do the same thing, right? I would use a referenced base item. But in this case, my base item is where the information for my mesh is at. And if I do that, then it will just load the normal mesh in the game. And I don't want that. I want the mesh that I created. So I'm going to go back to my folder here, demo folder. Is it this one? Yep. And I'm going to go to my items folder, and I'm going to delete this because I don't need this here right now. So I'll just delete it. And I'm going to create a base item, right? And I'm going to name it pretty much the same, but I'm just going to change the name like custom, right? And you can keep the name the same, but I would suggest giving it a different name since it's a custom item. When you go back and look for it later, blah blah blah, it might, where someone's trying to help out, it'll help them understand what this is, right? So I'm going to open it up and I'm going to fill it out. And custom items are super easy to fill out. You have a position ID at the top, and if you go to, I think on Tekken mods, you can find a list of the position IDs, but also on my GitHub right here, if you go into info dump, I put a bunch of information in here. At the bottom are the item position IDs, and we're dealing with a full body, so that's going to be position ID 6. So we'll make sure this is a 6. We want to make sure that this is set to skeletal mesh. It defaults to skeletal mesh, so unless you're changing it to a static mesh for whatever reason, keep this at skeletal mesh. And then your actual meshes are going to be loaded into here. You have a muscle rig and you have a proportion rig. This particular mod, we're only going to be using a muscle rig, so a MSL rig. So I'll fill that in. If I was doing a common mesh body mod, I would use both of these. But for now, this is just that. And I'm going to close that all up. And then I want to find my binary dynamic bone. And I'm going to add this bust here. This is just so her chest has some movement to it, you know what I mean? And you can get this from Peak's folder, I believe, Peak's project. He has a version of this. It might be in the default one for the new Konji project. I don't know. But if you don't have it, you can look for Peak's GitHub and get his project and get this file. But I digress. And that's all that I need to fill out with this one. I don't need to fill out anything else. It's very simple. Alright. Now, I also need to create an IP. So, here's our IP. I'm not going to name it anything right now. I'm just going to create it. And I need to put the items where they belong. So, this is my base item, and I'll put it here, right? This is when this IP gets loaded, it's going to tell the game to go to this location to load this BI. So, I'm going to include this in my actual mod, because this is not a reference, right? This is the actual custom BI that I want in my game. But nonetheless, I'm going to add those other ones to the IP. So if I go back up here, I can look for this one, which is CI, and it won't fit anywhere else, right? It's only going to fit in the CI slot. So I drop it in there, and we're going to go grab the base character item, and I'm going to drop it in there. I'm going to go ahead and hit save, and I'm good to go. Alright, so if I go back, now I've got this item here, and I need to replace something. In this case, I'm just going to replace the actual outfit that she already has, right? I could replace a different one if I wanted to, but in this case, we're just going to replace the same one. So I'm going to go to the Item Prefab folder and make sure I have the correct location. So if we go here, I can look. It needs to be an item prefab, cat, BDF, and then it needs to have this name right here. So I'm going to copy that name, and I'm going to name it to that, right? Because like I said earlier, the names all have to match. Folder structures have to match. So I'm going to item prefab. Let's see, do I have cat already? I do not. So I'm going to make a new folder. Make sure it's lowercase. Right, and then I'm going to type in BDF for that. And now let's go back here. I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to drag it over and drop it into the item prefab right there. Move here. Okay, cool. So that's really all this mod is, right? I've got a reference. I've got my custom mesh that I made, brought it in. I've got my reference material instance, right? And all of those material instances that are on that mesh right now are all references. Like, so I don't need to include any of those in my actual mod. Those are all in-game material instances. I just showed you how I made that last one, right? Because the other ones are already created. So I have that, and then I made references for the IP. So let's go ahead and pack it up. So I'm going to pack it up using a data asset or a primary asset label. So I'm going to right click, go to miscellaneous, let's go to data asset. I'm going to type in primary, or as much as I feel like, so I get a primary asset label. Boom. And I like to number mine based on the chunk I'm going to be using. So I need to go find what chunk I'm at, because I don't even know right now. Let's see, I got mods somewhere in the archive. What number am I at? 7073. I think I have a 7074 out there, so I'm gonna make a 7075 just to be sure. And that's my own numbering. You don't have to do that. You can name it whatever number you want to, or title. This data asset doesn't actually go into your folder, I don't believe, into your mod, so you don't really need to worry about it. But I'm gonna put 7075. I'll call this demo. Mat reference, and I'll just call it Azu SP01, just so that when I look at this, I have an idea of what it is. I'm gonna open it up. So priority, I'm going to set to 1. Priority goes from 0 to whatever number. The higher number has the higher priority. But we always just use 1. That way it's not the same priority. It's a higher priority than like the game assets. We'll go chunk ID, and here's where you add your number, 7075. And this can be whatever number. I think I tried to do 99,000 at some point, and it didn't cook. So I would say keep it below that, but whatever. Okay, so there's a couple of options in here. Apply recursively. What this means is that any asset that's included in this mod, if it has other things associated with it, it will grab it. And so we don't want to use that in most cases, because if I did that, then I would grab like the IP, right? And in the IP, I've got 2 references. And so then it would go grab the references and add those to my mod, which I don't want, because then it will confuse the game and it will load some broken assets that aren't completed. We don't want that. So we're going to avoid the apply recursively until you have a full understanding of how things are connected and what you want and what you don't want in. We are going to set this to always cook. And in this case, I'm going to use load assets in my directory. What this does is that any assets that are in this folder and any of the subfolders where it's at will be included in my mod. All right, that means I don't have to load them specifically, right? Wherever I put this, like if I put this in here, right, just moved it in there, then only what's in here will go into my actual mod when I pack it up. But I'm going to move it to the top of my folder so that both of these get included automatically. And if I add anything, it'll automatically get added to the chunk when I package it again. So we're going to use that. The next thing I need to do is use this explicit one, right? Because even though I'm not using the references, so I don't care about those, but I do need the IP. The IP has to go where it belongs, because that's what the game is going to look for, right? And so and that's where I'm kind of getting in the mix, right? As a modder, I'm coming in and I'm changing the IP, and that's going to redirect the game to go look for the different stuff, right? It's going to load the classic BCI, it's going to load the classic CI from the reference, and then it's going to go to the BI and say, oh, you want to grab this particular mesh, which is at this particular location, and then load it. So I'm going to go to the item prefab, I'm going to grab this, and you can drag it, you can click on it, the same methods here, right? Cool. So this mod is going to contain this IP and whatever is in this folder, right? So it's going to have my meshes, it's going to have my BI. And you want to hover over it just to make sure it's in the right location and see that it's good. I always like to double click on it just to make sure, and it will open up whatever assets you have set there, and just to make sure that everything is listed, right? These are not actually included, these are just listed. And you can do like an asset audit for the chunk ID, but I'm not going to go into that, but it is something that you can do if you're unsure. But that's it. That's pretty simple, right? Cool. I'm just going to save everything, and then I'm just going to go ahead and package the project. It's going to take a couple of minutes to go get done, so I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to step out, let this do its thing, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at it in game. But that's the process, right? So anything you want to reference, that's how you would do it. Hopefully that this explanation is something you can use and then apply to other things. Of course, come to the Discord to get some more information about it if you still have questions. But I'm hoping this answers a lot of those questions for a lot of people. And then I'll go ahead and release this weird looking body mod. In case anybody wants it. I'm going to start doing that because I've got so many different like test mods and demo mods that I just have laying around and I don't need it. So I'm just going to put them out there for the world to just have if they want. But yeah. So like I said, I'm going to take a quick break and I'll be back. Alright, it looks like it's done. Now I gotta find the mod. I don't know where I put it. Okay, so this is 7075 is what I'm looking for. So I wonder if it's in my actual pack mods and stuff. 707, here we go. The time right, 2:30 in the morning. It's crazy. I'm gonna go ahead and copy these. I'm gonna go over to where I got all my mods. I don't got really any mods right now because we're cleaning out, trying to figure out what's all going on with our mods. So I'm gonna make a new mod here, folder 7075. Mat reference, say Azu bikini BDF. Just so I know what it is. Let's go ahead and paste it. Let's make. I'm gonna, with them all selected, I'll hit F2, and then I'll hit right. So I'm at the end. Hit underscore P, and it will change it to all of them, and we're good to go. And look, it's a little baby mod, 432 kilobytes. All right, so let's see if it actually works. Let's see if I know what I'm talking about. So we'll hit Steam. Let's go ahead and load Tekken 8. Oh, and Tekken 8 now got like the quick match, like forever rematch option, which surprised me. I was like, because I like the rematch, you know. I was rematching after first it's 2, and I was like, whoa, I'm still able to play these people. It's crazy. Still a bunch of one and doneers though, even in quick match, which is kind of crazy. But you know, it's whatever. Oh, there we go. What up, Clive? You should be able to change like the expressions of like your front character as well. Now my system takes a while to load because I got so many things running in the background usually. So hopefully, sometimes I just have to turn it off and turn it back on. Ugh. My poor system. It's always overheating. It's like 120 Celsius, 24/7. Let's see, is it going to load? Let's go ahead and just reload it. Stop. Do it again. Man. Come on. Come on, baby. Let's go. Oh my goodness. I was just playing for like hours, bro. Alright, let's see, you gonna load? How long you gonna take to load? Oh my goodness, come on. I swear to goodness, every time I'm like on Steam or stream, you know, my PC just wants to make a fool of me. My mods want to make a fool of me all the time. Ooh, what I got? Prime Minister of Pain Foodie. That's funny. Alright, cool. Look at that. Tekken Revolution Hollow Art. I'm at like 170. Look at this hair. I gotta fix this. The test mod. It's a Psylocke from Marvel Rivals. But it needs some fixing up. I yeeted it on accident. So now I only have like a half finished version of it. Alright, cool. So let's go in here. And let's find this body. Hopefully it works. I think I've got like the fix applied to my stuff, but here we go. Let's click on this, and there we go. We got goofy looking Azucena, you know what I mean, with a small chest and extra wide hips. But the important part is that her bikini is working, and if I go, I can change it. All the stuff just came over, right? It's using the material, all the setup it normally has. Yeah, look at that. The quality is really bad right now because my settings got set to like super low quality. But you know what? We can fix that real quick. So let's go ahead and save, because you know what? Who doesn't want this body? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I don't even think I should release it, but I'm gonna release it. No one can stop me. I don't think. Maybe somebody can. Let's go ahead and make her the person. Alright, Azu. Look at that. We can pick our mods now. Boom. Confirm. Right, cool. We got that. Let's go to graphic settings. What's up, Azu? Wait, did it switch? I think it did. I can't tell. Ooh, look, I got a little bit of a seam issue because when I was making some of my edits, I wasn't very careful to stay away from the seam. I got a little seam on there. I'll switch this to whatever the game recommends. It's probably gonna be like 100. PC performance 315, not too bad. Cool. And what's going on, Azu? Looking nice. There you go. There you go. Look at that. Looking clean. Look at that shiny back. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what she looks like. Now, because I brought her in, right, like this, anything that she had that was physics is now gone. She has no physics. I mean, she got physics for her chest. She should still have physics for her chest. And this, I can actually use like the default one as well because it's using the same body. And there she goes. So yeah, it's and actually I think her skin is not right because I don't think I have it set to is common item. So it's using like, I think like a default skin texture if I'm not mistaken. And I don't have any sound right now, so forgive me. But look at her lineup. I didn't notice her lineup. She got that straight lineup, bro. But there she go. Boom. Them shoulders. Bow bow. What up? Do I got rage? Turn rage on. Where's rage at? Rage. Where's rage? Okay, play rage. I'm on fire. Bam. But that's it. That's all you gotta do. That's a referenced that's a reference material. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. You know, but just getting the understanding the concept. Dude, I made them shoulders big, bro. That's hilarious. Da-da-da. What else does she have? Bam. Look at them. Oh, look at them. Look at them Popeye arms, yo. She got them forearms, bro. What else she got? I wish this dance had like more properties to it. Does she have another dance? Oh yeah, the backwards dance. So yeah, That's all it is. It's pretty simple. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and close it out on that. You know what I mean? We'll just have her dance her way out of here. We're good to go. I don't know. Should I release this? Who knows? I'm gonna, let's see, photo mode. Let's go to photo mode. I gotta take a screenshot. Alright, how do I do this? Player. Well, alright. How do I do this? I'm not good at photo mode. I don't know how to move around and stuff. Okay, display, character. There we go. Effects. What is this? We want to... I don't know what all this is. Filter type. Make it vibrant. Whoa. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even know what these filters do. Alright, whatever. Bloom. Lots of bloom. I like bloom. Lens flare. Sure. What? I don't even know why that's a thing. Like, what is this? Does it make it 3D? Can you look at these like 3D glasses now? I don't know. I should test that. Oh, you can change your expression? How do I do that? Gaze direction. Oh, I don't want the 6. What else can I do? Hands. What is it? Left hand? Oh, she's making hand gestures. I don't even know what these are for. What is this? Is this like, oh shoot, made you look? You know what I mean? Here, we'll put that hand out like that. Excuse expressions. Was that sad? Oh, unconscious? What? Agony? Hurt? Surprised? Exasperated? Laughing? Wow, that's kind of weird looking. Alright, we'll give her surprised. She's like, what? Alright, how do I get out of here? Alright, so then, how do I take the picture? Oh, okay. F12, I think. There we go. Oh, wait, no, I want the effects off. Where are the effects? I know it's somewhere. Effects off. Off. Okay. There we go. Alright, that's it. It's done. I've successfully did what I wanted to do. I don't know how to get out of here. Out of photo mode. Alright, nice. But yeah, that's it. I don't know how long this needs to end. How long was this video? Time. Where's the time? There's no time. Am I even recording? How long was this on? I have no idea. I used to show the time, I thought. It's whatever. But, yep, that's it. So, hopefully that helps people. Oh, hey, what's going on? Any questions? Yeah, if you got a question, feel free to hit me up. 55 minutes? Okay, cool. I'm going to add timestamps to it on the YouTube later. And then I'll put a link to the video on my GitHub. It's going to be on the live section of my YouTube. Um, but I'll put timestamps on the YouTube. I'll put the link to the guide on there. I just got to go ahead and put it on my GitHub as well. But yeah, so that's referencing. It should be pretty straightforward. I don't know what I'm going to do next, but tonight I'm going to go to bed. So hopefully this helps people. Hit me up with any questions on the Discord if you got them.